Ladies and gentlemen, this video is going to be a serious one. No farts and no bongs, because there are some serious concerns with Lies of P, some of which are valid. But before we get to that, I have to make a request. Dear Mr. Neowiz, please add a Get All Achievements achievement for your video game Lies of P, as I need that flex showcased on my profile to impress my wife, Sophia. Thank you. The general rule is that non-FromSoft Soulslike games are shorter and easier in comparison. Lies of P is the exception to that rule. You're looking at a fully fleshed, hyper-polished, soul-shatteringly difficult game in every regard. It of course comes with some issues that I will cover shortly, but the overwhelming consensus is that this game goes hard in the motherfucking P, fella. Lies of P appears as an Italian Sekiro, Clockwork Bloodborne, and Victorian Dark Souls. But despite those obvious inspirations, it holds its own weight, not just as an imitation of FromSoft's games, but as a worthy counterpart that comes with its own unique world, story, and interesting mechanics. When it comes to the Souls-like style of games, the most important aspect is the combat. Lies of P heavily favors a style of play more akin to Sekiro, rather than Dark Souls. Dodging is useful and has its moments to shine, but you'd be missing out on efficient posture breakage if you rely solely on it. Just like deflection in Sekiro builds up enemies' posture, so it does in Lies of P, except there is no indicator of that whatsoever. At some point, after dealing enough damage through attacks or perfect guards, an enemy will become groggy, giving you the opportunity to subdue them with a hard-hitting attack, and opening them up to a fatal attack, which is a misleading name. Because if I walked into your room and initiated a fatal attack with a comically large butcher knife, you would not be getting up. I'm personally in favor of a more deflection-oriented playstyle, but for that to work, the game has to be precise in the way it conveys information. Lies of P struggles in that regard. In Sekiro, you could walk into a fight and win on your first attempt due to sheer skill and polished reactions. In Lies of P, the probability of that happening are rather slim, as this game is more oriented around knowing the timings of moves and their subsequent follow-ups. This is especially true with moves that have painfully long wind-ups followed by mock speed attacks. Without the prerequisite knowledge, it's a coin flip whether you'll be avoiding that damage or not. Hell, even with the prerequisite knowledge, it's a bit of a coin flip, as some attacks come out faster than the human eye can register. So in essence, you're reacting to a rhythmic timing you internalize through multiple attempts rather than the animation of the attack itself. This is most obvious in encounters with big chunky boys that either take up the whole screen or go off screen entirely. There's three primary enemy types you'll encounter in Lies of P: puppets, carcasses, and humans. Each is weak to a certain element, but what if you don't like the moveset of the sick elemental weapon you have? Well, that's where the weapon assembly system comes into play. At any moment, you can sit down at a stargazer and assemble a weapon that will be more fitting for your playstyle. The handle dictates the moveset of the weapon, whereas the head dictates the damage. One key thing to keep an eye on is attributes, as generally they are proficient in either slashing or stabbing styles of damage. A slashing head on a stabbing handle will yield less damage than the weapon is naturally capable of, which does make sense logically speaking, but it'd be way cooler if this wasn't a thing, so that you could milk the assembly system for all its silly potential. Another thing to keep an eye on is Fable Arts. Each part of any given weapon comes with its own Fable Arts, which in essence are just Elden Ring Ashes of War. The vast majority are just powerful press and forget abilities, but there are a select few that give you a passive advantage or a situational one. Though beware, there is no poise or hyper armor in Lies of P. I find this to be very frustrating. What? Especially on something like the puppet string Legion arm, in which I got smacked out of the air by seemingly nothing countless times. That's by far the biggest gripe I have with the game, as miscalculated aggression could immediately spiral into your downfall. And while I don't mind the confinement of the demanding parry/dodge centric gameplay, I do wish there was some leniency towards creating openings with a flashy approach. I won't go in depth about the art style, level design, and sound quality because I just be repeating the same adjectives
over and over again.
So I'll bundle them under one package named Phenomenal, because that's what Neowiz created here. Going through the world of Krat is not only pleasant because of the beautiful set pieces, but also because of the fluidity that comes with it. No chapter overstays its welcome, nor do they become fatiguing on subsequent playthroughs, thanks to very well placed shortcuts and the minor focal points that each chapter focuses on. The attention to detail is truly remarkable, and yet what takes the cake for me is the sound design. The OST is great and all, especially on the collectible records, but the sound of deflecting might be the most satisfying sound effect I ever heard in any game. This is the Viagra of audio. It wouldn't be fair to wrap up this short segment without a word from our sponsor, Jack.
Those footsteps in the sand, dude! You gotta put that in your review.
No.
Oh, look, it even tracks! Oh my god, dude! Realistic sand physics, Sergey! Put it in the review.
No.
There are a few more positives to cover, but there are also negatives. So let's play a little bit of ping pong.
Negativity.
Essential player functionality is hidden within the skill system known as the P organ. I don't know Korean
anatomy,
but I know damn well this is not the organ that pees. In this system, you will fill up nodes with minor benefits using quartz. Once a node is full, you get its complete effect. Most of these are simple things like more slots for amulets, weapons, legion arms, etc. But there are a specific few to unlock, such as dodging out of a down position, linking dodges, and staggering enemies with perfect blocks. These to me feel like things you should have by default, and not through a system in which you can glance over them.
Positive.
Lies of P tells you where Fortnum's grave is. In translation, that means the game gives indication to when NPC questline progression can be made, which means you can complete side quests and experience the most out of the game without the need for a guide that tells you the obscure item you just found is actually a quest item. It also ditches the horrendous shtick of talking to the same NPC 50 times till they start repeating themselves by having a highlight next to dialogue options you have not used.
Negativity.
The goddamn camera. I'm pretty sure every Soulsborne Akiro Ring game suffers from some degree of horrendous camera work, but I felt like in this game the frequency of it occurring was slightly higher. I reckon that's the case because deflecting pushes you back a bit, and if you're deflecting a combo, you're bound to meet a wall.
Positive.
Your Healy item recharges if you keep engagement up, meaning that no matter how bad you fumble the bag, the possibility for a comeback is always present.
Negativity.
The last negative is of course none other than
Gemini! Shut up, man!
The story is obviously based on Carlo Collodi's Pinocchio, though it has its own premise and execution. It's very much about becoming a real boy, but by different means. Choices you make throughout the game don't have much effect on their own, but accumulatively, they will shape the outcome of the story. There's 3 endings to experience, and replaying through the game to get them all is not a daunting endeavor, as aside from Gemini, the characters are really well made. All in all, Lies of P is a phenomenal spiritual successor to Sekiro. I found every boss except one to be a fantastic fight. Add on top of that the privilege of not being limited to 60 frames per second, and you get an experience that rivals the one FromSoftware is known for. So the final rating for Lies of P is a well-deserved out of 10. That's about it. Don't forget to slap like, slap wife, it's Karub, and I'll